It is that some of you already know that John Mundy is out of the hospital. I got to say it is a miracle because just the day before they said that you can go, they were saying we have no idea when you can go. So you might call that a minor miracle that from I have no idea to you can you can leave now. That's really amazing.
Mhm.
Uh, his vitals are hi John. His vitals are pretty much the same for the last couple of days, but he says he's going to get plenty of rest at home, sitting out on the deck in the fresh air with sun in the shade, but outside with a lot of fresh air. So that's a big difference from sitting in the same hospital room for the last month.
And
So
they wake you up all the time to see how you're doing.
yeah.
So,
So we thank God for John Monday's getting out. Okay, I'm going to turn this mic on over to Rosalyn, who kind of start us off this evening.
okay. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently than I have so far because Sweet John is here. And we left last week um, just around something very tender that you shared. And so I want us all, we're going to come back to you, John, after the meditation, but I want to start with everybody picking something in your life that's tender. Maybe it's something you said you would do and you haven't done. Maybe it's something that hurts you, just a little vulnerability. We all have things when we get involved with the personal self. I would like you to pick something right now. And John, you picture this activity, this feeling, this sensation, whatever it is, picture it. Everybody picture. Raise your hand if you picked something. Doesn't matter. You don't. Okay, we all have something. Okay, so now when you're picturing it, notice that you're involved in your thoughts and your feelings and your experience of it. But what are you not noticing right then? If it's a person, well, just a minute, somebody's coming in our room and I want to catch her up. Hi, Diane.
Yolanda.
And Yolanda's been here for a few minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hi, Diane. I'm going to catch you up. We were just starting. Can you hear me? Do you have your video? I'm assuming you can hear me. Wait on. All right. And we were starting with each of us picturing something that has been going on for us. It could be small, it could be little, preferably something tender, something that bothers you from your personal self, and it's repetitive. And I was saying, not right now, not a good thing. I could experiment with a good thing. Well, you take a good thing if you want, Lynn, and then you experiment with that. It might work exactly the same. I want you to notice, because good and bad is such a great point, because we love what's good. We love what's positive. We love when we think we're in the flow, when we feel we're in the flow. I'm going to shut my phone off now so it doesn't whistle to us. Hi, Diane. And Rico is coming in right now. So what we don't notice when we love the positive is that it's the flip side of the negative. And we are so in love with the positive because we feel good that we do forget it's the negative on the other side. And not good enough has on the other side better than. And we all know about flipping to one degree or another between feeling entitled or feeling not good enough. Rico, we're all thinking of something that was tender, that where we're vulnerable and where we've been upset. And if we start from that place, I would like you all to question whether you're cutting out other things, like you're noticing the feelings, but you're not noticing where you are, who's around, who else is around, if it's a person or who your feelings. We hyper extend toward what we're paying attention. Our focus gets hyper focused. And in the non-dual, we have an immediate offering. So if you would take just a step back from this good feeling or this feeling of upset, and just step back, and right behind it is another witness to that feeling. It may be judging it, or it might be saying, way to go, you're in the flow. Yay, you're doing A Course in Miracles. Yay, you're doing whatever your tradition is. Look, it's working. Yay, yay, yay. Or ick, you're doing it again. But right behind that is the observer of the witness. Something, some energy knows, is aware of that witness. Now, when you go straight without a meditation to the witness of the witness, we already have some distance. And I'm going to tell you a story really quickly about somebody who's a hair puller called trichotillomania. And when she pulls her hair out, she feels a relief. It is a stress reliever. It feels great. Now, the consequence of pulling your hair out is that you'll either have bald spots or you'll be bald. And then you'll either get a wig or you'll be perceived as different. Now, we have two experiences, the doing and the result. Now let's add the judging. Oh, I'm pulling out my hair again. I promised I wouldn't do it. I was going to use this method and that method, and I'm still doing it. And then there's the wig. Now I can judge. Now I have to wear a wig. It's so hot. I won't look right. When you join with another issue, somebody else's, I don't think there are any hair pullers here, and you go one step back to the witness of the hair pulling, and then one step back to the one that notices. Now let's all go into meditation and go from that observer of the judge. And as we go back to the one that's always there, the observer of the observed, let's notice if it's different today or if it's always the same. And then I'm going to ask everybody at the very end to make contact with the person who's the hair puller and see if that gives us any perspective to our own issue. So let's go now into whatever is our issue and step back from the personal self and breathe really deeply. And from your in-breath, there's a space. That space is always with us. There's a space between the in-breath and the out-breath. And it doesn't even take a thought to get there. And that's our beingness. And our body is part of our beingness that belongs to everything. It's only when we personalize it, that we go to separation. On its own, it just is. And it's our teacher, this little space between the in-breath and the out-breath. And now we're going to move from our heads, where we spend so much time, out through our crown chakra, into the room, into the space outside the room, knowing that there's no distance in our experience. And let's enter the space that's always there, that has no comment, no good or bad. It sees all with a neutrality that the personal self does not know. And we include the personal self in the beingness of all that is. And now that we're outside the room, we can be one with the sun, whether it's shining or not. If there are clouds in weather, we welcome that, knowing that the sky and the sun are always there. They're part of the infinite. They're part of the ancestors and the masters and the galaxies and the stars and time and space and all that is. And if that is God, that is one with us, because there are no edges to all these spaces and all these times. And we give thanks for the opportunity once again to make contact with the space that's always there, that's not really of space because it has no edges. It's not a place because it's always here. In this moment, it's always here. When we go to the past, it's not here. When we go to the future, it's not here. And here, notice if there's any applause or any suffering. Notice. Feel yourself being held by this neutrality, this oneness that's there for every being, every animal, every piece of furniture, everything that's animate or inanimate. You know, we call things it. We never call the personal self an it. That's because we cherish it. What if we reversed and cherished this neutrality that seems to be nothing because it's empty, but it's everything. It's the oneness that you are, and it's always available, especially if we take those two steps. Notice the noticer, that's the witness, and then go right behind that to the one, the it, the everything that watches the witness. So I welcome you to come back to this room and maybe start with that person that you don't know that pulls her hair out. And see if you even have a different perspective on her than when you first heard, oh my God, someone pulls their hair out. There's no judge now. Why would she pull her hair out? It doesn't matter. And what if she's bald? It doesn't matter. What if she wears a wig? It doesn't matter. And now go to your place of tenderness, either the high of the sweet thing that happened to you, or the tender thing that disturbs you. And we would like to hear from you when you come back to this room, if you have any feedback. And when you open your eyes from the oneness. There's no getting, there's no achieving, there's nowhere to go, but just where we are right now. Eternity is in the now. Thank you. Oh my goodness, I wonder how long she's been waiting.
All right, that was beautiful, Rosalyn. And does anyone have anything they want to share at this point? Anything about either the process or anything that came up at all?
Sorry, Linda, you missed it. My eyes were closed. Yes, Lynn, please.
Namaste, mighty companions. As soon as you said that tender part, I thought of something extraordinary that I just finished listening to Jennifer Hadley, the breakout, where you were talking, and I was very close to someone who was my best friend. We dated for 10 years, and then about 12 years after that, we became friends, and we were like blood family. And he was an addict, so he almost died a few times, and finally he did die. And I was totally devastated, and I spent the time by myself, and I was dumbfounded because he didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still here.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the tender part of me.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's different from the high of, look, I got a new car, look at my new purse. That's a connection to the everlasting. That's the oneness. And that's a beautiful example because it never loses its sweetness or its perfume.
And we're together more now. Even more.
Yes. Lynn was referring to the Sundays with Spirit, where I was talking at the end. Yeah. About my daughter passing. That was the beautiful service that Dove gave us on Sunday. Yeah. I was talking about, it was her birthday, and it wasn't an upsetting day. It was only gratitude for being lucky enough to have known her, and that it didn't end. The teaching goes on, the connection goes on differently. And Rafi has that as well with his beloved. So yeah, thank you for that, Lynn. Anybody have comments about the The hair puller. Oh, John. Yes, please.
I just like the hair puller thing was much similar to mine, but I like to just say that the tender and vulnerable part, I realized was that it's the judgments that I make on myself that make it tender and vulnerable. And
Yes.
so what's not there, the feeling that's not there, in that experience, and those experiences is what's not what there. I got in touch with what's not there is the courage and the strength and the universality of a totally different experience. So when I which was really good just to recognize that. But when I went through the process, the meditation process, I came to the point that, this is totally okay. There's a nothing. I don't need strength or anything like that. I'm just okay that way, where there is basically a nothingness, and I'm okay. I'm okay with the nothingness, because essentially that's what I got from last week's exercise. I need to do nothing, and just recognize that there's beyond my experience. There is a nothingness that's perfectly okay.
Yes.
So that's where I'm sitting right now, and I'm sure that more will come to me. But in terms of offering feedback, that's what I got. What came from me, and I'm grateful for that, and for the whole week too, because
Yeah.
I'm so proud of Dolph doing nothing.
Yes.
It's a joke, isn't it?
Yes. It's so beautiful what you're sharing, John. So beautiful. And thank you. I've been thinking of you all week. I've been close. My heart has been close to you. And we don't have to know each other's stories. I don't know the particulars, but I know as a separate person, I know how I've hurt myself over issues, and how the oneness, it's nothing and it's everything. And if we can just do nothing and be like the hair puller, so she pulls her hair out, so she's bald or she's not bald. It doesn't, sometimes it helps me to take another person's issue so I can see the template for myself. Because we change the rules for ourselves. We learn all these spiritual principles, and then we make exceptions, like Dove could tell us where it says that in A Course in Miracles, for sure. Anybody else have something to share? Yes, Raph.
When you did the whole tender thing, a bunch of people ran through my head. And then I thought, well, they're all me anyway. So there must be something going on. And then what popped up was a goal of mine. And then I was able to see the two sides of it, the ego duality of it. The one side that says there's an attack and you want it, you want it, you want it. And there's the aversion, there's the resistance to having it, and the fear and the doubt and the disapproval and all that resistance coming. And then there's the having of it. And I thought to myself, look at all of that stuff that poor mind is going through. That projected image of that guy is going through, and then all of this compassion and kindness and understanding and empathy came up for both sides, and it didn't matter whether or not the goal was fulfilled. What mattered was what the whole process was dissolving into itself and going away, and I was getting quieter and quieter, and the normal bliss that we come from, the happiness, started to rise up into quiet. And I'm running out of words here, but that's to be able to see the ego duality of it so clearly. And understand that this is just stuff going on in my mind, and let's see if we can bring it together and dissolve it in the love that we really are. And that's what happened.
Yeah, I could hear it in your experience. When you shared your experience, I could feel it. It wasn't just words, it went really deep.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Ralph. Thank you. I'm going to say that the one word that basically seems to encompass what it is that Rosalyn was talking about, of course, uses the word holiness. And, whether you go to Jennifer Hadley's or Maureen Muldoon or any of them, people talk about their superpower. What is your superpower? And the Course tells us that our superpower is our holiness, because our holiness, the word holiness is also the same as the word whole. And in our wholeness, there are no edges, as Rosalyn likes to say. There's no edges to wholeness. Nothing can come between what is whole and what is whole, because what God is, who is one, and in Hebrew the word one is echad, and that's one of it's the holiest prayer in the Jewish religion. Is it ends in echad. God is one. The Lord is one. And that oneness is our wholeness, is our holiness. And you can access it at any time. Exactly as Rosalyn was saying, maybe the clouds come in, some dark clouds, and maybe your mind goes off and starts thinking about the woman who's pulling her hair out, and she seems to be changing right before you. But you can go to that holiness by accessing your inner smile. A couple of sessions ago, we talked about that inner smile. The inner smile is that light within us that's always there. That's our holiness. And no matter how serious things look, we can actually access that inner smile and kind of smile at what it is that we used to take seriously. And almost everything that happened tonight kind of reminds me of that story I told about Krishnamurti. He was an Indian guru who said, people said, you're always peaceful. Nothing seems to push your buttons. Nothing triggers you. He says, do you want to know my secret? No matter what happens, I don't mind. I don't give it mind, which means that he is in that place called sameness or oneness. Rumi, the Persian poet from 800 years ago, said the same thing. He says, beyond this world of right doing and wrongdoing, which is those two split halves, there's a field, and I'll meet you there. I'll meet you in this neutral field of oneness, of calmness, of gentleness. And that's the characteristic I always think of when I think about holiness, is gentleness. Only the trusting can afford to be gentle. I mean, totally gentle, meaning that you can't be harmed and you can't harm, because it's your holiness, which actually there's nothing that holiness does not encompasses everything. And there's nothing outside of holiness. God created us as holy. In the Course of Miracles, in the last what is question, it's what am I? It says, I am God's holy Son, whole, complete, perfect, innocent, as He created us in heaven. Heaven is a place where we are all one and the same. In the Course, it says, what is heaven but an awareness? And that word awareness is very much like that witness. And behind the witness is the love of God, the source. It's simply an idea that is eternal. It never changes. It's changeless. It doesn't flicker. It doesn't change in strength. It is one, includes all equally, always. And it's that equality that is that oneness. And probably the thing that people are most hungry for in this world, if you really listen, is equality. But our holiness is our equality. Our holiness is our equality. If you identify with a body, you don't see yourself as holy. You see yourself as, well, uh, I'm born, have parents, and maybe they were holy, maybe I'm not as holy as them. It's always a comparison. But holiness or wholeness includes all equally. There's no separation, there's no division, there's no nothing. It's literally what forgiveness is, by the way. Forgiveness is a holy way of letting go of no matter what seems to be there. It's not there, by the way. It's not there. Holiness and forgiveness looks and does nothing because nothing is there. All that is there is our wholeness, is our holiness.
Now, when you hear that nothing is there and quantum physics tells us that we're nothing, does anybody have a contraction or any kind of feeling that we want to be someone, we want to be somebody? I know I sometimes have that, and it tells me exactly where I am, that I'm identifying as a separate person. And when quantum physics says we're nothing, the next sentence is that we're everything. And that's what Dove was talking about. No exceptions, equality. And so we can be everything. Doesn't that feel better than a someone? I mean, it's just a knee-jerk reaction to a hypnosis, I think. I don't take it as a judgment. I just say, oh, you're back to the hypnotized self who believed I was Rosalyn and separate. John, you had your hand up. Did you want to take it down, or?
Yeah, I just want to comment what you just said, because when I don't feel a contraction when you say that.
That's great.
I feel a relaxation, but
Beautiful.
a relaxation. But you know what?
Right.
Yeah, it's not that great, because then I say to myself, it's all bullshit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I undercut it. And say,
Yes.
this is not true. This is too good to be true.
Yes.
So,
And it could have been this easy. Yeah, could have been.
yeah.
But you know what I always go to? That universal intelligence that drives the car when you forgot how you got there. Everybody's had that experience. Raise your hand if you've had that experience. Right? I mean, who drove the car? You were not present. The you that controls, the you that's in charge, the judge took a vacation and you got there. What if we had it backwards? What if? Wow, that's such good news. If we believe it, but we can just open, like Dove said, to our superpower, to our holiness, and see what holiness is willing to do, what holiness can offer us versus what our opinion is, how we would run the show. Just experiment in ourselves. We have to. We can't just believe what somebody says. We have to experiment. How does that land, John? You're muted.
I think that's fine. It is experimentation. It is experimentation, and it's like it's looking like going beyond what I thought. You know what I mean? So it's really
Yes.
go back to the beginning. What was missing in this? What was missing? I have this, but something's missing. So it is experimentation. Again, just one.
I think the mind can only go so far. We can bring the mind along, and I know the Course in Miracles talks about mind training, but I think that's more just to observe our attack thoughts and observe how separate we feel and how much pain is caused by that. Because at the end of the Course in Miracles, it says, forget everything. Forget everything. So there's a certain point where we'll go back to you, Dove, in a second. There's a certain point that we can really do, not the separate me, I need do nothing, because it is done. It will be done. and our opinion won't matter. Dov, do you want to say something there?
Well, actually, I was saying hello to Diane, who I see has just walked in. I didn't see her earlier, so I just was waving.
Yeah.
I
Does
know it's
anybody else have a share? Diane, did you have a, well, we have two Dianes. I was asking Diane Brothers because other Diane Eisenman wasn't here for the meditation. Did you have a response to any part of that? Yeah, you.
My response was that I definitely felt a shift afterwards. What I was thinking about prior, definitely I felt it much less an issue or an upset. And I really do love your teaching on the breathing in and the space and breathing out. I love that space. And what came to me was I was with some friends today, and we were talking about the tide. When the tide goes out and it comes back in, there's actually a pause. And this is something I learned today. I didn't know, but anybody who knows about tidal patterns would know this, that there's a pause. So once the tide is going out, there's this pause before it comes back in. And during that pause, the current is not very strong. And but how beautiful. And we were talking about it in relation to swimming. That's a great time to swim because you're not going against any kind of current. So it really reminded me of that space between the breathing, or the space between the tide going out, the tide going in, where the current is weakened or less, and it makes swimming so much easier. And so that's what came back to me with that meditation and your reminder about the breathing. There's something about that space where everything feels easy. The ease and grace appear to be in that space for me.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's like poetry. I'm with you. Yeah.
Thank you, Diane, for that. Thank you, really.
Thank you.
Rico, you have your hand up.
I did. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you're located. I send you all love, light, well-being from my heart to yours. And thank you for letting me be here. To the total group, first, I apologize for being a little bit late. And I want to thank you for that meditation. I came out of a very frustrating situation. I was in a group an hour before this, and it was a Mac class. And I was 20 minutes late getting in because I couldn't download the app. And the whole thing was like totally frustrating for me. So when I got here, I didn't put my camera on. So I just said, I got to center myself. I had no idea what to expect except friendly, loving faces. So I centered myself a few minutes, then I came on. The way you delivered that meditation, the pace, the volume, the compassion, I forgot all about me being so frustrated from the math class. And instead of doing what I normally would do, judge this woman about pulling her hair out and diagnose her and give her a diagnosis, I found myself in an ocean of love saying, she's in pain, she's in discomfort, something's bothering her. And I wanted to just hug her and just open up my heart and just be. And the delivery of that, the way you delivered it, just took me to a really, really deep, compassionate place. And I want to say thank you. I needed to be there. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, this is truly, I didn't know 1 minute before I began talking where the meditation was. I had no ideas, none, zero. It was all just from on high. So I receive it as well. Very, very much. Yeah. And I think it's because it's beyond the brain. I finally understood something yesterday or Monday. I do a meditation class, which you're all welcome to come. It's free. But I'm not saying this to promote it. I'm saying this because people were saying after the meditation, they can't remember what I said, and they were trying to remember. And I don't remember. And I think it's because there's a part of our being that needs to get it in another way besides our brains. Our brains have a certain capacity, and we do want them to come along, but our experience may need to come another way. And that's the only reason I can say that I don't remember what I said usually at all. And I said it. But if I'm in a conversation with someone, I remember the conversation. And then I thought, you know what? How our separate selves remembers every detail of the hurts, every detail of who said what when they were blaming us or blaming what, right? We remember that. So it made me even more confident that this is something really powerful. Speaking to John, this is my experiment and my validating. Wow, this not only feels good, this is holiness. This is our holiness that Dove was talking about. This is our superpower, and we've been neglecting it, the nothingness that's everything. Yeah, thank you.
Well, you know what, Rosalyn, thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what my experience was from Rico's share. When he reached down to feel for the compassion for the girl with the hair pulling, like I never took my experience to that depth. But having him say that, I was able to do that and experience the richness, even more of the experience. So like, not only kudos to Rico, but everybody who shows up and extends, allows us to go further and, to take it another step, in which way that shows up. So that's, just want to throw that one in.
Thank you, John. I agree. And this might be a good point to ask you all a question. Dove and I have a question for you. The replays are on YouTube, and we can set it up on YouTube to be available to anybody, or we can set it up to be available to just people that have registered so we know who they are, or I guess we don't have to have replays. We can just, so we want to know, how do you feel about it? We maybe take a vote. Yes, Raf.
Well, I think it should be available to everyone, because what I like to do is when I get stuff for the release technique, the Sedona method, or anybody, Course in Miracles, is I like to share it with as many people who I know are interested as possible. So if they're not registered, and I can say, well, if you want to see the replay, all you have to do is go to this and this and this on YouTube and watch it. It makes it so much simpler for everybody, and they can access it easier. That would be my take on it.
Does it, thank you. Does it inhibit or make any difference in your shares? Because I agree with John, what Rico said, what you've all shared, what John, you shared last week, you opened up everything for this week. All I knew ahead of tonight was that we weren't going to forget John, and we were going to do something with what you said. So is it just as good? Many of us are used to replays and things going out to other people. Diane, maybe the Dianes can tell me how you feel, and everybody else too. Take a vote. Maybe everybody could say. You're muted, Diane.
Your microphone.
The teaching is that there's no secrets. We're one mind, and any secrets you're trying to keep are going to get out. I mean,
well, and if they don't get out, you're full of shame. So we want it to get out. Shame says keep it a secret, and if you speak, right, that breaks the shame. So
it's futile. I mean, it's like, and the more we express truth, which is what we're doing in here, the more truth goes out into the world, and how amazing is that?
I agree, by the way. I agree with that, Diane. And Ralph, you both said, be open. And exactly as Diane said, there are no secrets in the one mind. And we are, in truth, one mind. The Course says everything is known by all
Totally.
in one mind instantaneously. It's not like you find out later. So
Yeah.
all is known truly.
But I think it's great that Dove said, let's ask everybody, because we were wondering about that question. And it's good to have everybody have a say in it. Does anybody object? Lynn, go ahead.
I think it would be wonderful that, light has to be shared, connecting with everybody's light. Someone might turn it on by mistake and go, whoa.
I know people have issues between privacy and secrets. There's a difference. You don't tell the grocery clerk generally about your sex life because it's generally private, but that's different than having a secret that you're ashamed of. So just wanting to be clear with everyone. Diane Brothers, do you have an opinion?
Well, I just agree with everybody. If it's going to be of benefit to others, then I think it's really good to put it out there.
Great. Rico, Mary, Linda?
I come from a 12-step background, and all the guys I sponsor, we believe you're only sick as your secret. So I don't want to be sick anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with whatever.
Okay.
Just-
And Yolanda?
Yolanda's busy.
Okay. Rico, do you want to take your hand down unless you want to say something else? Lynn, go ahead. You're muted, honey.
Thank you. In the course, it said how you never were drawn together for a minute, an hour, a lifetime. Like I said, people who might be too much in their head will turn us on by accident and go far out.
Well, I love this, and I love the decision that's being made, but I especially love having asked you, because when I saw it go up last week, when we said these are where the replays are, I wondered, does everybody know this is on YouTube? I think it's just good to have everybody's agreement.
Thank you to you and Dove for asking us. That's really nice of you too. You didn't have to. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Okay, in a way that brings us back to trust. Course says that you're perfectly cared for, that you're perfectly safe, and it says the teachers of God have trust in the world because they know it's not really governed by the world's laws. It's really governed by a power that is in us, but not of us. Lesson 42 literally says, God is my strength. Vision is his gift. So it's not even our strength. The power is in us, but it's God's strength, and God is of one will. And we share that one will. The idea that you could have a different thought other than the one will, of course, that's the ego. The ego always figures, well, I won't say this, I won't say that because I don't want others to know. Now, everything is truly, the word is one. On the word trust, I don't know if I've used this earlier, some other sessions, but there's an acronym for trust, TRUST, to rely upon spirit totally. And then spirit always sees you as pure. Spirit is holy. I mean, Holy Spirit, it's our holiness, it's our superpower. And Holy Spirit only sees our superpower. Doesn't see anything, it doesn't see the body, sees the light, sees that inner smile. Holy Spirit is never confused, never distracted by anything in this world because it doesn't see anything in this world, just sees the holiness that you are. Your holiness is your superpower.
I love that. I'm in a writers group, and there's coaching, and there are books that are out that people pick their superpower when they to help them when they have feelings of inadequacy or the gremlins hit and there's imposter syndrome or something like that that happens to all writers, all creatives, everybody, actually, all separate people at one moment or another. And they pick, there's one book that's very big bestseller. I can't remember the name of it, but he has you pick people like, Oprah Winfrey could be your superhero. You pick the aspects of everybody, but somehow when you said that my holiness is my superpower, you don't need to pick from another separate person anything. That it just does it all. I love that, Dove. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
We have another 5 minutes ago. Anyone have any thoughts at all about this evening? Anything at all? I mean, any questions that haven't been answered? Yes, Ralph.
I just wanted to go back to what was said earlier about everything and nothing. There is an inquiry question that brings up in me fear and the resistance to it, which is great because then I can recognize it and let it go. Otherwise, it's suppressed. And it goes like this: if I am everything and nothing, and all that appears is merely imagined, what am I? Oh, I didn't get it that time. You don't answer the question, just let it sit there. And if whatever comes up, then it's easier to let it go. But it says it all, because we are everything and nothing in reality. And everything that we're looking out there is just our picture that we should put out there. And it may be just an illusion, but it's perfect because it's showing us where we're going and how far we've gotten and how far we have to go. So that's all.
Thank you, Ralph. I noticed when you asked the question, if I'm everything or nothing, then who am I? I noticed you laughed immediately after that. And laughter is really the sign that you're letting everything go. You don't have to even analyze if I'm everything or I'm nothing. What am I? The what am I is pretty much not the holiness of us. The holiness is that inner smile that does smile and laugh, and it's in your gentle laughter healing happens, because it's neither this nor that. It's all of it, and you're laughing at your own thoughts that you once took seriously, that you realize don't really mean anything anymore. Your thoughts don't mean anything anymore. That's pretty much lesson number one of A Course in Miracles, which I say is the entire course. Nothing I see means anything. And just in case you think anything means something, just know that the ego is giving meaning to everything, and it wants to be right. And then he asks that wonderful question: do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? So that nothingness is that happiness, is that joy. There's a lesson in the course 190 said, do you want the joy of God, or do you want the pain? And he says, if there's any pain, then God is not real. But if God is real, and I assure you that he is, she is, there is no pain. It's an all or none, all or none. Any thoughts on this at all?
What was the question after that, Ralph? You said, if I'm everything and nothing and I imagine something.
No, if I am everything and nothing, and all that appears is merely imagined, then what am I? And don't answer the question, because when the answer does come, you'll find out that you are the answer.
Nothing in this world really can be explained logically or sensibly, because, as he says, never underestimate the insanity of the ego. This world is the ego's mindset, you might say. This is not our home. This is not our home. The difference between heaven and where we are here is judgment. Judgment is the home of the ego. It's trying to always judge one over the other, which is good, which is bad, which is right, which is wrong. And heaven is judgment proof. There's nothing outside of heaven that can judge. There's nothing at all. There's no edges, as Rosalyn likes to say. There's no buttons to push.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Hey,
go ahead.
Dove, I don't want to be judgmental or something, but I've had a really good time this last hour, and I see a lot of value in this hour. So I just want to say that as well.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you very much. Yeah.
That's the purpose of the hour.
We love you, John. We love everybody. We're so happy that you come and we get to do this together. It's I had a good time too, just because our hearts are opening. We're going through something together. We are truly mighty companions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cindy will be back next week.
Mhm.
For those people who did come in a little late, I did mention at the beginning, John Monday came home from the hospital. He was in the hospital for as much as a month almost. And I didn't say the first time, but he's COVID free. That's why they let him out of the hospital.
Oh, wow.
He did have COVID, but he had the shot months ago. So it wasn't a bad case of COVID. So as soon as they told him he was COVID free, he could leave. It was that simple.
And is he free of the other disease?
Okay, no, he's still suffering from that Lyme disease, and he still has some breathing problems, which I think was brought on by the pneumonia.
Okay.
But and he wears an oxygen mask, but he's resting at home, and he spent most of the day outside, out of doors, in the sun, enjoying the fresh air. Yes, Ralph?
The YouTube replay of this, what do you go on? You go ACIM on YouTube or?
No, I'll put it in the chat if we have a minute here.
Oh, we definitely have time. Yeah.
Actually, you have to know how to copy. Do you know how to copy? Because it comes out a whole lot of letters.
I'm gonna have to learn if I don't.
So those three little dots next to it, you can save the chat that way. You can say join us, Dove and Rosalyn, JOYN, like your email says, and then it will come up, YouTube, join us.
Oh, okay, great, thanks.
I think that'll work. Or I can, if you can't find it, email me and I'll send you the long.
Okay, I put up Rosalyn's email and my own email. It's rosalynrourke@me.com. That's very easy. rosalynrourke@me.com, and I'm ACIM gather, the number 7 at gmail.com. And you can always go to One Mind Foundation. For those people who've never been there, I share it with John Monday. You see all of John's books there. A nice picture of John. And there's a place at onemindfoundation.org where you can send email, and we always get back to you as soon as possible.
All right, everybody. Bless you. Bless everyone you see and hear and know and meet and think of, because you are that holiness superpower. You are one with the one. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
Mwah.
Thank you.
Mwah. Love
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Rosalyn. Hello, Lynn,
Thank
my
you
sister
so
from
much.
another mister.
Mwah.
I send you love and light.
Yes, we
And my
feel.
brother from another mother, John. I love you, man.
Thanks, Rosalyn. Thanks, Doug. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Diane.
So blessed.
Yes.